The objective is to have a Palestinian state on the borders of 1967 that will live in
peace and security.
The lesson of history is that peace and security do not come easily.
Peace and stability
Must decide whether we are serious about peace and security. To recognize Israel's legitimacy and its right to exist in peace and security. That's how we will find new pathways to peace and security. That is the work that we must do.
In peace and security.
Peace and security and coexistence.
A movement towards peace. If we have this triangle, economy, security, and peace, then peace can succeed.
It is morning. You wake up.
Hey, come on.
You greet your loved ones. You grab the morning paper. And although it seems like any ordinary day, it isn't. For one extraordinary reason.
A historic and unprecedented event has occurred. The question of whether or not we are alone in the universe has been answered.
This is so cool. Warships have just arrived over India, England, and Germany.
I really don't think they flew 90 billion light years to come down here and start a fight.
We gotta stop them! They're gonna kill us all!
They're using our own satellites against us. The clock is ticking.
It's over.
Years from now, they're gonna ask, where were you when they took over the planet?
We'll be fine. I promise. It's over. I'm sorry, but it's over.
I think it's time.
Your faith in us, but never in yourselves. From here, the fight will be your own.
We're running out of time. We're running out of clues. And there's an invasion coming. So really, we need to go right now.
War has started.
My dad said they'd come. He said, we ain't alone. He said, one day we find them. Or they'd find us.
How desperate are you? And you call on such lost creatures to defend you.
Our enemy can take any shape.
You have made me very desperate.
They could be anywhere.
We're not a team. We're a time bomb.
This is nothing we were ever trained for.
Didn't belong to any of these denominations that you have out there, like the 28,000 denominations. So the question is this, my question is this, who is chosen? Are the Christians chosen or is Israel chosen? First of all, we have to answer that question. Now, when we answer that question, then we can ask a second question, is that are those people beloved to God who He's chosen? And so is He going to leave those people behind to be murdered, killed, while Christians just simply get whisked away? What kind of nonsensical doctrine is that? Those that are chosen just get whisked away. Those that are chosen get left behind to be slaughtered by the anti-Messiah and his forces, his armies. But those that are not selected, those that are not chosen, basically are second grafted in, Gentiles, they get whisked away, they get safety, whilst the ones who actually have the contracts and the agreements, the covenants, they get left behind. You see, that kind of theology only has place in churches, not in synagogues, not in the temples, where we were taught, or where our forefathers were taught Torah and the Tanakh and the rest of the Bible.
Well,
so
I think
this is the problem.
I think that God has made a covenant with the Christian converts as well, with the Gentile converts, when He's given us His Spirit to reside within us. So I think that we have a covenant with Him as well, Rabbi Simon. So that's just, I just want to clarify that. Even though, yes, they did choose the people of Israel, but look at how many times.
And if you have a covenant, can you prove it from Scripture? Where is your covenant in Scripture? Because I can give you Amos chapter 3, verse 2, which says, "You only have I known of all the families of the earth." In other words, Israel. He says, "I've only known you, no one else." So how do we answer that?
Well, I think we see that eventually, and eventually He opens up salvation after the death of Jesus Christ on the cross. He opens up this plan of salvation, the New Testament plan of salvation, to all people who are willing, all who believe.
All people, right. All people, we must be careful, because even the plan that involved all people, by the way, belonged to the 10 tribes who basically became mixed in the Gentile nations. So the Master is very clear in Matthew 15:24, where He says, "I came for the lost house of Israel." He says, for the lost sheep of Israel. It doesn't say, "I came for any particular denomination." So in other words, if you're a Gentile, a pure Gentile, as I would say it, then you have a chance to engraft into the agreement, the covenant. In other words, you're engrafting into something that already exists, something that Israel already has, the people of Israel already have. So therefore, yes, you can be engrafted in, but that doesn't give you a higher right than those that He called His own beloved people. You cannot be above those people, because then what you're doing is you're doing what I call a replacement theology. You're replacing true Israel with Christianity. That cannot be.
Yes. Well, I don't believe that most of the people in my listening on is here at LBN, and I know CJ doesn't. We don't prophesy or we don't proclaim a replacement theology at all. We love the people of Israel. We want the people of Israel to be saved as well. But most of the people of Israel at this point, at least the ones who are residing there, have not, from what I understand, accepted Jesus Christ as the Messiah. And I'm praying that they will before
Pastor Brian, those people that reside in Israel, 95% of those people are not even genetic seed of Israel. So therefore, they are European converts into this faith that they've come into faith of Israel that's not even in the land yet. You
don't think the people
over there right now.
We are facing the end of days as written in the...
We got a commercial coming up on us again.
Okay,
so we'll be right back, and we'll take this up again after the break.
Especially now that we develop a close relationship with our Creator.
The same way.
He not only protects
else happen to know of two
LibertyBroadcastingNetwork.com
teachings on this. So one of the teachings is like
there you are. Okay, we're back with Simon Altaf, and from the African-Israeli.com. Okay, Simon, we're back on the air.
Okay, Ryan. So, I mean, let's basically start with the rapture, how the Christians are taught about it, in the sense that, as you know, they're taught that there will be a type of rapture. There's different teachings on this. So one of the teachings is like there's a type of rapture where he will come into the clouds and he will take the believers, and only the believers will see him. This is kind of like a mini-second rapture, if you want to call it. And they might also say that in the the proper coming, second coming, then the rest of the world will see him. In other words, they say that really you see him and you don't see him. If you're not a believer, you don't see him. If you're a believer, you see him. Then he takes you away. And that's, in a nutshell, what they call a rapture. Then they have various views around that, in terms of wrath, pre-wrath, etc. Tribulation, pre-tribulation, mid-tribulation, etc.
Yes. What about the passages that say he's going to come in the clouds and he's going to meet us in the clouds? He's going to draw us up into the clouds with him.
I'm going to touch on those, but before I touch on those, I want to point out where this rapture theory actually started from, so we at least get a grasp on the root of the rapture theory, because it's really, many people don't know that this is a Roman Catholic teaching. This came out of Rome. In the 16th century. Pope Leo X authorized 3 Jesuit priests to conduct a reinterpretation of Daniel's 70 weeks, the book of Revelation and the book of Ezekiel, because he wanted to remove the heat from Rome at that time because of the Reformation. If you remember Luther, Martin Luther, the issues that were going on with him around there, and the 3 Jesuit priests basically gave rise to at least 3 different movements. One of the Jesuit priests was Francisco Ribera of Salamanca. He gave rise to the rapture theory. He's the one who actually came up with the rapture idea, and it's his ideas that are being now preached all over the world in Christian churches. The second one, Luis de Alcazar of Seville. This was around 1554 to 1621, his lifetime. He gave rise to what we call in Christian theology preterism. And the third one was a cardinal, Roberto Bellarmine. He basically wrote certain articles and books on disputations, and he also headed the tribunal as a judge, sentencing people to death or burning on the stake, so to speak, who the Catholic Church found didn't agree with Catholicism. And the Francisco one, the first guy, the first Jesuit priest, his work was basically, because when he reinterpreted the book of Daniel's Revelation and the book of Ezekiel, he basically shocked the Pope as well, because the Pope didn't expect him to come out with the answers that he had come out with, basically. So his work was archived and put away so that nobody would find it. And it was not till a couple of hundred years later that a librarian then, who was appointed by the Archbishop of Canterbury, by the name of S.R. Maitland, during 1792, between 1792 and 1866, that he republished the work, which then came into the hands of the infamous John Darby of the Plymouth Brethren in England. And that's where the rapture bandwagon really started from. And effectively, Francisco had said that during the time of the reign of the Antichrist, the saints will be removed through a rapture, and this is a teaching that's prevalent in all churches today. And I doubt many people know that this theory started from him. And then the early proponents of this theory were also people like Reverend Edward Irving from the Church of Scotland in 1826. There was a lady called Margaret MacDonald, and she claimed that she had a vision in 1830 with an end-time vision which gained popularity, followed by one of John Darby's students called Cyrus L. Schofield, an American lawyer between the period of 1843 to 1921, who also published several notes on theories in 1909. So Christianity's rapture theory was given by a Jesuit Roman Catholic priest through the orders of a pope who basically reinvestigated the 3 books I just mentioned, and then it's been in the church ever since. Now, there's also another view, as I said earlier, has been doing the rounds lately, which is called the pre-wrath view. In the pre-wrath view, the Christians believe, or are taught, some of them at least, that Christians will be raptured after the 6th and the 7th Baal judgments, or half an hour after the 7th seal before the wrath begins. In other words, they face the anti-Messiah, but not the wrath of God. Now, in Matthew chapter 13, 24-30, which is one of the passages that Christian pastors use for the rapture, the parable of the wheat and the tares, it's basically not about rapture. It's about wicked people that are going to be destroyed from the earth. I would probably recommend one particular book that will help Christians, and it's by a colonel, an American retired colonel who is quite reputed. His name is Colonel H. Speed Wilson, and his book is called Rapture, A Dangerous Deception. And he actually offered people